Hello students, today we will look at the reasons for the rise of Temasek. So as I go through the slides, kindly refer to your history textbook pages 58 to 63 for information about today's lesson. So the first reason for the rise of Temasek as a important trading port was the fall of Srivijaya. Now, Srivijaya, we have learned, was a very powerful sea kingdom, a maritime meaning a sea kingdom that lasted from the 7th to the 13th century. So by the 13th century, you will find that Srivijaya had collapsed, and therefore it could not control all the ports in Southeast Asia. So with the absence of Srivijaya, a central kingdom, what this meant was that all the ports in Southeast Asia could basically attract traders on their own. Now you can see that Srivijaya, colored in green, is a pretty large empire. It had control of all the areas near the sea, right? You can see. So the two important waterways we've learned is the Straits of Malacca, where most of the trade flowed through Southeast Asia, and of course the Sunda Straits, that is between Sumatra and Java. So Srivijaya controlled the Sunda Straits and also the Straits of Malacca. Now when Srivijaya, which was based in Palembang, lost control of these areas, ports like Singapore attracted more traders and became even more prosperous. So the first reason for the rise of Temasek as a port was the fall of the empire of Srivijaya. The second reason why Temasek thrived as a port was that it was an entrepot. Students, what is an entrepot? An entrepot is a port where goods can be imported and then exported. So in other words, traders from various parts of the world will come to Singapore and exchange their goods. So Singapore was like a marketplace in which this exchange of goods took place. And what were the goods that Singapore is famous for? Well, Wong Dai Yuan in 1349 said that among other things, local products like hornbill cask, coarse lacquer wood and tin were important items that were traded in Singapore. So these are some of the items that were traded in Singapore. We have here tin, right? Just like your canned tins. Tin was mined and traded in Singapore. You have the hornbill cask. Essentially they were used as replacement for ivory, and they were carved into many intricate items. You have lacquer wood, right? And this was used for making joss sticks. So it could actually have been used for religious reasons or as a perfume for people in their houses. So the second important reason for the rise of Temasek is its role as a entrepot. Temasek served as midway meeting point for traders from the Middle East, India and China, and therefore it became an important area of exchange or entrepot. The third reason, which we have covered in the previous lesson, in the task that was given, is the advantage of the monsoons. So the monsoons play an important role why Singapura became so important and also contributed to the rise of Singapore as a important trading port. Right? Monsoons are seasonal winds, right, which will blow from a particular month to another particular month. Right? We have learned about the two most important monsoon systems that affected Singapura and Southeast Asia. The first of this is known as the southwest monsoon. So during the southwest monsoon, traders from India and the Middle East used the wind systems and they sailed the Indian Ocean through the Straits of Malacca and traded in Temasek or Singapura. During the northeast monsoon, traders from China would use the winds, arrive in Singapore or Temasek, and they will trade their goods. Right? So this advantage that Singapore had contributed to its rise as a trading port. So the monsoon winds were an important factor why Singapore or Temasek rose to prominence. Another reason which you have learned for the rise of Singapore or Temasek as it was known in the 14th century is its location. Temasek is located at the mouth of the Straits of Malacca, right? And the Straits of Malacca was an important waterway through which traders came from east and west. So being along the Straits of Malacca contributed to the rise of Temasek as a important port during the 14th century and also today in the 20th century. The fourth reason for the rise of Temasek is the role played by Sang Utama, otherwise known as Sang Nila Utama, and the Orang Laut. Now, Sang Nila Utama was a prince who fled from Palembang, right? We have learned that Palembang was the capital of the Srivijayan Empire, and therefore he was fleeing from an attack from the Chola kingdom of India. So when he established a port in Temasek, which he renamed Singapura, this attracted his followers to come to Temasek. In addition to this, Sang Utama contributed to Temasek, right? Because he had the support of the Orang Laut, and the Orang Laut we have learned under the video Orang Laut warriors were very important for trade in Southeast Asia. So let's look at who this Orang Laut were. So the Orang Laut are people of the sea. They are known as the sea people or sea gypsies, and they were regarded as the original inhabitants of the many islands of Southeast Asia. Right? So historically, the Orang Laut conducted their activities, which included trade along the main sea trading routes, the Straits of Malacca and the Straits of Sunda or the Sunda Straits. They know where to gather products from the sea and forests, and also in bad times when there was no activities such as trade, the Orang Laut were infamous as pirates, right? As such, the Orang Laut were feared as warriors and as pirates, and they were valued for their fighting skills. So many of the Malay sultanates of Temasek, Malacca, and Johor Riau, right, employed the Orang Laut to serve as warriors for the sultans of Malacca. And the Orang Laut were very important for the navy of all of these Malay kingdoms that existed from the 13th to the 20th century. So the Orang Laut helped the rulers to direct trade, to control the ports, and also to force traders to trade at Temasek. So that was another reason for the success and rise of Temasek. That is the end of our lesson. So please go back to page 58, revise these few pages, and have a better understanding of the various factors that led to the rise of Temasek as an important trading port in the 14th century. Thank you, students.